Did you know that for decades, over 70% of everything Canada sells to the world goes to just one customer? That's not just a statistic, it's the lifeblood of the Canadian economy. We're talking about billions of dollars in oil, lumber, auto parts, and agricultural goods, all flowing south across a single border. 1. Can you imagine running a business like that? Putting all your eggs in one basket is business 101 of what to do. It gives your single client immense power. They can demand lower prices, change payment terms, or simply decide they don't need you anymore, leaving you high and dry. It's like a comedian who only tells jokes to his mom. She's your biggest fan, she gets all your references, and she always laughs. It's a guaranteed gig. But what happens when mom discovers Netflix? Or worse, starts suggesting your jokes aren't as funny as they used to be? Is that a sustainable career path or just a comfortable hobby? That one customer, of course, is the United States. For generations, this arrangement has been incredibly lucrative. The US was the perfect customer, close, wealthy, and predictable. This proximity built one of the most integrated economic relationships on Earth. A car part might cross the border half a dozen times before it ends up in a finished vehicle. It's been comfortable, profitable, and for Canada, deceptively simple. But what happens when that one big customer starts acting weird? Suddenly, the predictable partner becomes unpredictable. The conversation shifts from mutual benefit to America first. Long-standing agreements are torn up and renegotiated under threat. Tariffs are slapped on old friends, citing national security. The reliable partner starts ghosting your calls. It's a wake-up call, the kind that has you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., questioning every life choice you've ever made. For Canada, that meant confronting a terrifying economic vulnerability it had ignored for far too long. It seems our friends up north are finally asking that question. And they're not just asking it, they're acting on it. The world is changing, economic gravity is shifting eastward, and new markets are emerging with an insatiable appetite for the very things Canada produces. The old map doesn't work anymore. The world is changing, and it looks like Canada is finally ready to update its relationship status from "it's complicated with the USA" to "exploring my options." This isn't a messy public breakup. It's a quiet, deliberate decision to start seeing other people, to diversify the portfolio, to swipe right on the rest of the world. The signs are everywhere, but none are as clear as the recent bold moves on the global stage. We're seeing a flurry of activity, trade missions to Asia, landmark deals with the European Union, a renewed focus on the Indo-Pacific. It's a quiet revolution, happening not with loud pronouncements or angry tweets, but with strategic handshakes in Brussels, Tokyo, and beyond. These aren't just photo ops, they are the calculated first steps of a nation forging a new path for itself, a carefully planned pivot away from dependency and towards a more independent future on the world stage. So, who do you send to pull off a move this big? You don't send a hockey player, you don't send a moose, you send your superstar, your secret weapon. You send Mark Carney. This guy is basically the Beyoncé of global finance. He's a former governor of the Bank of Canada, he's a former governor of the Bank of England. You know you're a big deal when you've held the keys to the money for 2 different G7 countries. Carney has more credibility in a single handshake than most politicians have in a lifetime. When he walks into a room, people don't just listen, they take notes. He's got the economic brain of a supercomputer and the charm of a talk show host. Carney's recent trip to the United Kingdom wasn't just another diplomatic photo op, this was a statement. Let's be real about the US-Canada relationship. It's like being roommates with a bodybuilder who is also a drama major. He's your biggest protector, but he also might smash the furniture because his favorite show got cancelled. The United States is, by far, Canada's largest trading partner. Their economies are so intertwined, like 2 trees that grew together. Separating them is nearly impossible without causing major damage to both. This codependence has been great during times of stability. It built fortunes, it created jobs, it fostered a deep friendship. But then came the drama. The era of Donald Trump brought unpredictability that sent shockwaves through Ottawa. Suddenly, the reliable partnership felt like a house of cards in a hurricane. Threats to tear up NAFTA became constant. Tariffs were thrown around like confetti, targeting Canadian steel, aluminum, iconic lumber. For Canada, this wasn't political noise, it was existential. Once in the UK, Mark Carney didn't waste a second. With Brexit casting a long shadow over Europe, this was a pivotal moment for Canada to redefine its economic relationship with a key G7 partner. Upon landing, Carney hit the ground running. His schedule wasn't just full, it was a meticulously choreographed sequence of high-stakes encounters. From dawn until well past dusk, his days were a blur of black cars and hushed boardrooms, each meeting a critical piece of a larger puzzle. This wasn't a standard diplomatic tour, it was a full-blown charm offensive. In a world grappling with instability, Carney's mission was to project an unwavering message of openness. He was there to remind Britain that while its relationship with Europe was changing, a powerful, reliable partner was waiting across the Atlantic. The goal was clear: to secure not just goodwill, but concrete investment commitments to fuel Canada's future. He started at the very top, with a highly publicized meeting at 10 Downing Street with the British Prime Minister. The handshake was more than a formality, it was a reunion. This shared history created an immediate foundation of trust, a rare commodity in international diplomacy. Carney's 7-year tenure as Governor of the Bank of England had made him a familiar and respected figure in the halls of British power. He wasn't just another foreign envoy reading from a script. He was a former colleague, an insider who understood the nuances of the British economy and political psyche. This unique status allowed him to bypass diplomatic pleasantries and get straight to the heart of the matter. His message was direct. In the wake of Brexit, as the UK recalibrates its place in the world, Canada stands ready to be its premier global partner. A partner in trade, innovation, and in building a sustainable economic future. From Downing Street, his influence cascaded through the nation's financial heart. He held closed-door sessions in the City of London, meeting with the titans of industry, the CEOs of Barclays, HSBC, and other banking giants. These weren't courtesy calls, they were deep-dive discussions about risk, regulation, and return on investment. The centerpiece of his outreach was a major address at the London Stock Exchange. Before an audience of skeptical traders and seasoned executives, Carney laid out the Canadian value proposition with precision, highlighting its stable banking system, wealth of natural resources, and burgeoning tech and clean energy sectors. For a British financial community wrestling with the profound uncertainties of post-Brexit trade, Carney's message was a beacon. He was offering a safe harbor for capital, a predictable regulatory environment, and a gateway to the North American market. In a sea of volatility, Canada was presented as a lighthouse in the storm, a symbol of stability, reliability, and enduring partnership. Every great story has a climax, a turning point where everything changes. For Mark Carney's mission, that moment came on the third day of his trip. It happened not in a stuffy government office, but at a high-level investment summit. After a powerful keynote address, Carney was on a panel with several global CEOs. The moderator turned to the head of a massive UK-based sovereign wealth fund, one of the biggest pools of money on the planet, and asked about their future investment strategy in North America. The CEO paused, looked directly at Carney, and then delivered the line that would be heard around the world. He announced a landmark $50 billion strategic investment partnership with Canada, focused on clean energy infrastructure. The room, filled with hundreds of the world's most influential investors, fell silent for a beat, before erupting into applause. This wasn't just another deal. This was a seismic shift. The ink is barely dry on a deal that has sent shockwaves through the global financial community. But beyond the eye-watering numbers, what does this all mean? Mark Carney's trip to the UK, a homecoming for the former governor of the Bank of England, was crowned by that spectacular $50 billion deal. But to call this a successful business trip is a profound understatement. It's a masterclass in economic statecraft, a carefully orchestrated move on the global chessboard. What we are witnessing is a pivotal moment, a turning point in Canadian history. This isn't just about diversifying trade, it's about redefining a nation's identity. In a very real sense, this is Canada's economic declaration of independence. For decades, Canada's economic story has been inextricably linked to the United States. A story of dependency, a branch plant economy where prosperity was dictated by the tides south of the border. This over-reliance has always been a source of both comfort and deep-seated anxiety. But now, for the first time on such a grand scale, the country has demonstrated it can forge its own destiny, breaking free from the immense gravitational pull of its southern neighbor. This declaration wasn't made with cannons, but with the modern tools of global influence. It was achieved through savvy diplomacy, a long-term strategic vision, and the undeniable appeal of Canada's brand, a beacon of stability and progressive values in a turbulent world. These aren't just talking points. They are now quantifiable economic assets. The result is the emergence of a new Canada on the world stage. A Canada that is more confident, more independent and more influential in shaping global conversations on everything from climate change to technology. This isn't the quiet, unassuming Canada of the past, but the question remains, is this a permanent shift or a temporary phase? Has Canada truly turned a corner? And what other bold steps should it take to solidify this new role on the world stage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For a deeper dive into the data behind this shift, I recommend The New Northern Superpower, Canada's 21st Century Rise by Global Affairs Press. It provides a comprehensive roadmap of how we got here and where we might be heading.